The film starts with Captain Brodie Torrance in Singapore, calling his daughter Daniela as he intends to arrive home in Honolulu to spend time with her for a holiday. A former Royal Air Force pilot, Brodie is flying Trailblazer Airlines Flight 119. He arrives to meet his co-pilot Samuel Dele, who informs Brodie that they will pass through a storm. Bonnie, the chief flight attendant, informs Brodie that he needs to meet Officer Shellback. The officer informs Brodie that they are transporting a killer, a former French Foreign Legion soldier named Louis Gaspare. As the flight gets ready for takeoff, we see other guests such as young social media influencers and arrogant businessmen. While in the air, Brodie and Dele talk, with Brodie mentioning how his wife had passed years earlier. As they pass over the South China Sea, the plane encounters heavy turbulence when it passes through the storm. The storm worsens, leading to the plane's damage, and Brodie injures his head in the commotion. A stewardess is killed, and Shellback dies after being slammed around when the plane starts going down. Brodie and Dele have to manage control without comms and radar, bringing it to a safer balance. Realizing the damages are too heavy, they must make an emergency landing. The pilots find an island and make a rough landing. Once everything settles, Brodie has the passengers get out of the plane, and he and Dele learn they are on Jolo Island. In New York City, at Trailblazer's headquarters, the board of directors is met by their crisis manager Scarsdale, to try and locate the plane and passengers. Due to his violent history, Brodie tries to keep Louis away and secure from the other passengers. Brodie works with Dele and Bonnie to keep the passengers calm and to find a way to call for help. Dele tells Brodie that Jolo is operated by violent separatists, meaning they risk putting everyone in danger the longer they are there. The rebels, led by Dada Junmar, catch wind of the plane's crash landing and hope to gain from the passengers. Meanwhile, Brodie goes with Louis into the forest to find a way to call for help. Back in New York City, Scarsdale and the board reviewed Brodie's history file, featuring a video of an incident where Brodie held an aggressive passenger in a chokehold until he passed out, after the man punched Brodie when he tried to calm down during an altercation. Scarsdale plans to send a private military team to rescue everyone once the plane is tracked since they know of the threat on the island. In Honolulu, Daniela's aunt informs her that her father's plane went down. Brodie and Louis reach a tower where Brodie manages to contact an agent from Trailblazers who initially doesn't believe him, because she claims they have been getting lots of cranks calls over the missing flight. Brodie also manages to call Daniela before he is attacked by a rebel. Brodie fights the man until he can kill him. Upon further inspection of the building, Brodie and Louis see that the rebels use the area to torture and videotape their victims for ransom money. The two rush back to the plane but find that Junmar and his goons have already made it there. A Korean woman attempts to flee, only for one of the rebels to shoot her. Her husband is then brutally decapitated. The rebels proceeded to take everyone else hostage while Brodie and Louis hid. Once the rebels leave, the two subdue a remaining rebel and learn that Junmar is taking everyone to a nearby village. Brodie and Louis resolve to follow and rescue everyone. As the two head out to the village, Junmar starts forcing the hostages to state their names and home countries for their ransom video. The military team arrives on the island, but they find nobody near the plane, only the bodies of Shellback and the stewardess, along with a message from Brodie. Brodie and Louis make it to the village and kill some more rebels before locating and freeing the hostages. Everyone gets boarded onto a bus while Brodie stays behind to let them get out. Junmar and his men beat him and prepare to execute him, but the military team shows up and begins to open fire on the rebels. Everyone makes it back to the plane and boards it. The Trailblazers board argues about having Brodie fly the aircraft since it is damaged and could potentially kill everyone on board. Louis joins the military men as they fight the rebels and chooses to remain on the island since he has no future. He found a bag of ransom money. With most rebels dead, Brodie and Dele try to get the plane moving. Junmar attempts to fire an RPG at the plane, but Brodie lifts it high enough in the air that he kills Junmar by smashing him with the plane's wheels. Brodie then plans to land at a nearby airstrip in Saucy with the fuel they have left. After a bit of turbulence, Brodie can safely land, causing everyone at the headquarters to cheer. As the passengers settle down, Brodie sits to call Daniela and let her know he is coming home.